Okay, guys. Today I really need you today to not just go to, you only have a one problem assignment, but you won't know how to do it just by watching the first two. I can tell you that right now. Okay. And I'm gonna go over 6 problems here. Okay. You just have one to do on your own. But I'm going to say again, you ain't going to know what to do just by watching the first 2 problems because a bad thing happens. So this is just a review of where we were at before we left for our weekend, okay? And camera's focus, you can't really see it, but it's the same thing you have on your paper. Okay, so again, I look at that, I have no base, okay? Because there's nothing, no letter by itself, okay? So that's when I need to do the bubbles. So I've got my the X's, the Y's, and then these numbers here that have nothing. Okay, now and I don't really care about this one because there's no letters in it, okay? I need the same number here or here. Now it could be negative, positive, doesn't matter. It's just got to be the same number. 3 and 3 are the same number, so I'm going to label same right here, okay? And by the way, one thing I'm going to do after I write same is I'm going to copy down the top down here. That helps me get my second answer, not the first, but it's the second, okay? Just take that top, write it down there. Okay, so the same right there. Now, when we see that we have the same thing, I want to go down here. I'm going to start doing it down here, actually. And I'm going to write 3x, 3x, because that's where I have the same. And I need to make sure that one of them's negative and one of them's positive. So the first 3x is negative, but the other one's not. It's it's positive. Okay. So negative 3x, positive 3x. If I have a negative and a positive, that means I'm good to go. I don't need to change the signs. Okay. Good to go means don't change the signs on the bottom. Some of you asked me last Friday, how do you know when you do that? If you have a negative and a positive, you don't have to do it. It's when you have the same, two of the same sign where you would have to do it, okay? All right, so you're good to go. So now I can go ahead and add. And remember, I'm going to write plus, okay? So negative 3 plus 3. Okay, I got 0. Don't write that down, okay? Just cross it out, slash it out. Then I'm going to add these two together, so negative 3 plus negative 4, and that's negative 7. Somebody asked me the other day, and it was a good question, okay? I'm not like mocking it. They said, well, wouldn't that be positive 7 because 2 negatives make a positive? That's a multiplication division thing. When you add 2 negatives, it's still negative. It's like a number line. If you're at negative 3 and you go further to the left 4, well, you're still in the negatives. You're just deeper out. Okay, so negative 7y. Okay, and then I add 9 plus 5. Okay, 14. So I just dot my negative 7y and then divide by negative 7. Okay, and I take 14 divided by negative 7, and that gave me negative 2 for an answer, and that's y. Okay, so you got to make sure that's in for y. Okay, so now I have this thing I wrote here from the top, okay, and I will be putting negative 2 where y is at. Okay, so here's y. So I'll put negative 2, okay? So I'm going to have to times negative 3 times negative 2. I'll circle that. So you find that product, that multiplication. Negative 3 times negative 2 is positive 6. And then I add the negative 3x before equals 9. And then I go from there. So I dot my negative 3x, circle it, and I'm going to minus 6, minus 6. Okay, 9 minus 6 is 3, so negative 3 dot x equals 3, and then I'll divide by negative 3. And 3 divided by negative 3 is negative 1, so x is negative 1 and y equals negative 2. Okay, my next problem, 9x plus 6y equals 123. 8x plus 6y equals 116. Okay, so again, no base. So I want to draw my bubbles. Okay, so I got to locate one of these two where I would have the same number. I have 9 and 8. Those aren't the same. Okay, 6 and 6. Those are the same. Okay, so let's make the, as soon as I get, and I'm going to label that same. Okay. So I've got 6y and 6y this time. But that's positive and that's positive, so they're both the same. They're both the same sign, okay? Which means I need to switch the bottom row, always the bottom, to the opposite. So this 8 that was positive, well, now that's going to be a negative 8. This 6 is positive, well, now it's going to be a negative. And 116, that's positive, now it's a negative. Okay, and then I plus, so plus. That's me just writing plus, P-L-U-S, plus, okay? So I'm going to be taking 9 plus negative 8. I had somebody ask me the other day, would you do 9 minus 8? It's going to be the same thing. 9 plus negative 8 is still 1. Okay, so 1x. Okay, and then I'm going to go 6 plus negative 6. Okay, that was 0, which is exactly what I want. So I don't write anything, but I do equals before I do the last circle. So now I take 123 plus negative 116, and that gives me 7. Okay, now you can divide by 1, but it's just going to be 7, and that's x this time. Okay, so x is 7. Okay, now again, I copy down the first equation from them. I'm going to slash that out. Okay, copy the first equation. Okay, so 9x plus 6y was equal to 123. I should have done that after I did my circles, but I didn't. Okay, so 7's going in for x now, so 7. So I'm going to be taking 9 times 7, that's 63. Don't keep the x there, though. That's gone. Plus 6y equals 123. Okay, so I'm going to dot my 6y, and I'm going to subtract 63 from both sides. Okay, so 123 minus 63 gives me 60. So I divide by 6, divide by 6. 60 divided by 6 equals 10, so y is 10, okay? All right, now you're going to have a little problem on the next one that you haven't seen yet, okay? Again, none of the letters are by themselves, so that means no base. So I'm going to circle the x's, circle the y's, and after I do that, I should write down what was at top. I like to write that here so I don't have to, after I cross stuff out, I can see better. Okay, I know I just go here. Well, 3 and 4 aren't the same, and 2 and 3 ain't the same. That's a problem, okay? Here's what you're going to do about that problem when you don't have anything that's the same. You're going to go dot, dot, dot on top, dot, dot, dot on bottom. So dot, 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 dot. Dot, 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 or. Okay. Now, the dot means multiply. It means times. Now, here's what you're going to times by. What's the very first number you see on the bottom? You see a 4. So we are going to multiply all these by the 4. Very first number on bottom was a 4, 4, 4, 4. Okay, you have to multiply them all by the same thing, not by different things. Okay, what I'll see a lot of people do is they'll multiply this one by 4, this one by 3, this one by negative 2. That's wrong. Okay, you take the first number you see on bottom and 4, 4, 4. Now, you got your dot, but what are you going to times by on bottom? Okay, now, question I have for you, just look. What's the very first number I had on top? I had 3. So I'll be timesing all these by 3. And that's the method I'm going to use to actually create new equations that actually have the same number. Okay, so you just got to times. 3 times 4 is 12, but that will still have an x. Plus 2 times 4 is 8. That will still have a y. And then 1 times 4 is 4. Put equals there. Okay, now for the other equation, 4 times 3 is 12, and that'll have an x still. 3 times 3 is 9. That will have a y still. And negative 2 times 3 is negative 6. Okay. All right, now I try the circling thing again. Okay, and now I should have something that's the same. Well, 12 and 12 are the same, so I label that same. So I'm going to come down here and decide what I'm going to do about the sign. So I've got 12x and 12x, and they're both positive, okay? So I'm going to put positive, positive. When they're both positive, you're going to have to switch. Again, you need a positive and a negative. So you're going to switch the bottom row, but this bottom row. So that goes negative 12. That goes negative 9, and that's going to go from negative 6 to positive 6. Okay, and now I'm going to plus, because I know after doing that, I'm going to get something that equals 0. So 12 plus negative 12 is 0, bingo. Okay, cross it off, don't write nothing. 8 plus negative 9 is negative 1. So that's negative 1y. And then 4 plus 6 is 10. So I dot my y, and then I will be dividing. 10 divided by negative 1 is negative 10, and that is y. So y is negative 10. So now all I need to do is go put negative 10 in for y. So I'm going to circle that. 2 times negative 10 is negative 20 plus 3x equals 1. So I dot the 3x plus 21 plus 21. Or no, why am I plusing? It should be 20. 1 plus 20 is 21. I got ahead of myself. That's idiotic. Okay. Divide by 3, divide by 3. 21 divided by 3 is 7. Okay. All right. So, and then this is pretty much it to this stuff, okay? I mean, we went over, you might not remember, it's just been a week or 2 weeks when you actually have a base, okay? And now we're going over this when you don't have a base, and I'm covering pretty much kind of the final straw, the coup de grace. Okay, so again, there's no letter by itself, so there's no base, okay? You have no base. So we need to do the circles, and you need to write the top equation, negative 2x plus 15y equals negative 32. That is useful to get the second answer, not really the first. Okay, so I look for the same number. I got to label something the same. Well, 2 and 7 aren't the same. And neither's 5 and 15 and 5. Those aren't the same either. Okay, so the x's and y's, neither one of them is the same. Okay, so it's time for dot, 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 dot. Okay, now, what's the first number you see on the bottom? 7. So I'll be 7, 7, 7. Okay. What's the first number you see on the top? Negative 2. Okay. So now you have a choice here. You can either go 2, 2, 2, or negative 2, negative 2, negative 2. It doesn't matter. Okay. But if you see negative 2, you want to put negative 2, I don't blame you. Okay. So I might need my calculator here. Negative 2 times 7, okay? That's going to be negative 14 with x. I should be doing that over here. Then I take 15 times 7. 105 with y. You can get some pretty big numbers when you do this. And then negative 32 times 7, negative 224. Okay, now the bottom, I will be taking 7 times negative 2, negative 14, with x, negative 5 times negative 2. Now you're timesing, so that is going to be positive. So 10y. And then I take 17 times negative 2. That's negative 34. Okay, now I do the circling again. So we're doing same right here, okay? 105 and 10 aren't the same, but 14 and 14 definitely are, okay? So now I actually have something that's the same because I need to get one of them to add to 0, and this is the process for it. Okay, so I put 14x, 14x. That's negative, and so is that one. Now, you need a positive and a negative, not two negatives, so you have to switch the bottom, okay? So that negative is going to become positive 14, the positive 10 becomes negative 10, and the negative 34 becomes positive 34. Now, we'll see if I can get these to do what I want. So I take negative 14 plus positive 14, there's 0. I take 105 plus negative 10, and that is 95 with y. And I take negative 224 plus 34, and that's negative 190. Okay, and now I just dot and divide. I really don't even circle that because I just know there's my dot. I'm just dividing. So I take negative 190 by 95, and I got negative 2, and that's y, okay? Y. Okay, now all I need to do is put the negative 2 where the y's at. Okay, I'm going to circle that. It means I got to take 15 times negative 2, and that's negative 30 plus negative 2x equals negative 32. So I dot the negative 2x, so I'm going to plus 30 plus 30. So negative 2 dot x, negative 32 plus 30 is negative 2. So negative 2 divided by negative 2 is positive 1. Okay. Again, these aren't fun, and on assignments, I don't assign a ton of them. Okay. All right, next one, Staples kind of messed up there. Again, no base. So since there's no base, I better draw my circles. And I better copy my first equation. I know I need that later. Okay, you better locate something that's the same. 6 and 2 aren't the same. 2 and 3 aren't the same. So you need to go dot, 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 dot. Okay. Now, what's the first number you have on the bottom row? You have negative 2. So if you want to times by 2, that's fine. It'll work out, or negative 2. It doesn't matter. So negative 2, negative 2, negative 2. Okay. Sorry, you can't see that very well. Times negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2. And then what do I have as the first number on top? I have 6. So 6, 6, 6. Okay. So if you show your work, it'll work out. So I take 6 times negative 2 you need your calculator for the negative, that's fine. Okay, it's going to be negative 12 with x. I'm going to take negative 2 times negative 2. That's positive 4 with y, so 4y. And I take 1 times negative 2, which is negative 2. Identity property multiplication means if you take something times 1, it's just the other number. Okay, negative 2 times 6 is negative 12 with x. 3 times 6 would be 18 with y. Negative 5 times 6 is negative 30. Okay, let's try this circle again. So you have two new equations, but now you should be able to find the same. Right there. 12 and 12 are the same. 4 and 18 aren't, but 12 and 12 are. Okay, now I got to decide if I need to switch the signs or not. So put 12x. 12x, that's negative. And that one's negative. Again, you need a negative and a positive, not two negatives, so you are going to have to switch. You are not good to go there. Okay, so switch. And positive, 18 is now negative, the 18y is, and then 30 is now positive. Okay, and I go from there. So I plus. Again, I should be writing plus. That's just so you know how I'm getting it. Okay, plus. So I take negative 12 plus 12. That gave me 0. Okay. So don't need to put anything. Now I take 4 plus negative 18. That's negative 14. So negative 14y. Okay, and now I take negative 2 plus 30. Okay, and that's 28. Okay, so I dot my 14y and then divide by negative 14. Okay, 28 divided by 14, negative 14 is negative 2. Okay, so that's y I have. So y is negative 2. Okay, now all you got to do is put negative 2 where the y's at. Okay, so I circle that. Negative 2 times negative 2 is positive 4 plus the 6x equals 1. Okay, so I dot my x. So I have a 4 minus 4 minus 4. So that's negative 3, and now I can divide by 6. Okay, so negative 3 divided by 6 is negative 0.5. Again, this dot thing is just something we do to make sure I have the same. Okay, a same. Okay, next one. Last one I'm going to do in this video. You got one problem. So no base. And so I go circle, and I want to write the bottom equation. Glad we're doing this one. Now, a lot of people get confused on this problem. Those aren't the same. Those aren't the same. Now, those are, but I don't care that this one's the same. It has to be the x or the y that are the same. Having this one be the same does me no good. Okay, it's got to be this or this, and neither one of them are, so I have to use the dot. Because if they're the same, that's great, but that's not going to do any good because you'll still have an x and a y. The job here, you need to eliminate the x or eliminate the y. Okay, so what's the first number we got there? 3. So 3, 3, 3. What's the first number we have here? 2. So 2, 2, 2. So again, whatever's the first number on bottom is multiplied on top. Whatever the first number on top is multiplied by bottom. Okay, so 2x times 3 is 6x. 5y times 3 is 15y. And 3 times 3 is 9. Okay, now on bottom, 3 times 2 is 6x. 10 times 2 is 20y. And then negative 3 times 2 is negative 6. Now you circle again, and you should be able to find the same now, okay? Right there. 6 and 6 are the same. Now I got to decide if I need to change the signs, okay? Because I'm going to plus them, but if it doesn't add to 0, it doesn't do any good. So I have 6x and 6x, and that's positive 6x. Put a plus in front of it, and that's positive 6x. If it doesn't have a sign in front of it, it's positive. Now, we need a positive and a negative, not two positives, okay? So that one will have to be switched. So switch. Okay, so that 6 is going to become negative on bottom. That 20 is going to become negative, and that 6 is going to become positive. It always happens to the bottom, not the top. Okay, now plus PLUS, PLUS, PLUS. Plus, plus, plus. So I take 6 plus negative 6. That's 0. Okay? Don't write anything. That's good. X is now out. So 15 plus negative 20 is negative 5. So it'd be negative 5y. Then 9 plus 6 is going to be, 6 is now positive, so 15. Okay, so dot your y and divide by negative 5. Okay, 15 divided by negative 5 is negative 3, so y is negative 3. And then all I need to do is plug negative 3 into the y on top, okay? And when you have to do this dot thing, you'll almost always get the y first. Okay, so 5 times negative 3 is negative 15 plus 2x equals 3. And I will dot my 2 and circle it, and then I will plus 15, plus 15. So 2 dot x equals 18, okay? And I divide by 2, divide by 2. 18 divided by 2 is 9, okay? Okay, that's why I was saying that today. Again, you have just one problem. Hopefully you can figure it out, or at least have somewhat of an idea of what you're doing. Come back and ask me if you're still not sure.